We have Pam today, Pam Roussell of Perfectly Holistic. She is our cat expert. Um, Pam and I randomly have a similar client for years that we didn't really know about. And so,
No, so
how
fun.
fun is that? Eve Sheldon. So Eve was like, "Do you know Pam?" I'm like, "I do now. I didn't before, but now I do."
I
And
know.
it's it's just come full circle for us. It's been so much fun. And Pam, I've been looking for someone to do color therapy for you guys. I reached out to some expert in England and got crickets. And Pam was like, I do that. I'm like, well, girl, get on here. Do this for us. So thank you for being here with us today, Pam. We are looking forward to it. I've had some color therapy crazy experiences. And so I can't wait to see what you have.
Yeah, I put together a workshop, but we're gonna try to do the like condensed version. So I'll be here all night long for you. Um, so yeah, I'm just curious, before we start, is anybody already familiar with color therapy? Um, and I don't know how to follow comments on here or chat or whatever, but I'm sure you can see it.
Yeah. And Janice, I don't know where Janice is. She was the one saying she can't get logged in for some reason. Um, and you guys did I not let me normally we have like members join us, but let me grab your link and then put it in there. That is so weird. Janice is saying, nope, it won't work. All
Hmm.
right, but it did for you. So I know this link works. So, oh, hold on. I don't know. Maybe they're getting stricter about universal links or something. Huh. Sorry, you guys. Sorry about this. And I will put it in the live stream. Okay. If you want to join live, feel free to hop in and do so. Pam, take it away.
Okay. Can you tell me if you see any questions or comments as we go through? Because I cannot see any comments.
I would love to.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So let me share, let me pull up my presentation. See what we got here. Hang on one second.
It's so mind-boggling that it's so cold in Texas.
I know it's really weird. You know, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It is what it is. Okay. So let me go back. Sorry, I was looking through this earlier. I need to back up. Okay. So if you are new to the concept of color, you're basically going to learn just the underlying reason of why we use color and how frequencies work to support the body, whether that's emotionally, physically, or spiritually, because colors are simply frequencies and everything is made up of energy. So that's what makes this so powerful. It doesn't matter if you're a person, if you're an animal. And you know, with animals, there's not really a placebo effect. It either works or it doesn't, right? So I have seen tremendous, like amazing things when I use color or recommend colors to clients to try with their pets for whatever reason. And then they send me pictures of their cat or their pet sitting on that particular colored swatch that they pulled out, or a shirt or a towel or whatever. And it's just like they're just mind blown. So it's so funny. But basically, color therapy is just using the frequencies of color that promote healing. And so it's easy to use when you kind of have a general understanding of how everything coordinates and what's the word I'm looking for?
Rest.
Correlate. Yeah, and how things resonate. But basically, color is just wavelengths of light. And there are certain colors that we obviously see with our eyes, but it's very limited on what our actual vision can see. And it's the same with pets. They don't necessarily always see every color that we see, but they recognize frequencies, which is really cool. And let me see if I can get this to shift. Well,
Is it frozen? Are we frozen? We're not frozen on Facebook.
no, it's not. I don't think we're present. I think I'm trying to, there we go. Okay. So what I like to start with are the chakras. And I know your group probably has some understanding of chakras, right? Have you talked about chakras in the past?
I don't do chakras.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm
chakras,
Christian. I'm Christian based. I don't have a guru. I have Jesus.
well, chakras are just energy centers in the body. Okay, and they all coordinate to certain areas, and it's kind of up and down, like from the top of the head to the tailbone. And those chakras or energy centers basically can affect various organ systems and glands in that area, kind of like Chinese medicine, working on meridian lines of the body. So it's kind of it crosses over like that. Chakra, when we talk about the chakras, they all have their own distinct colors. And there are more than seven chakras, but there's generally just like the main seven is what we're going to go over tonight and how they coordinate or correlate with the color therapy. And a lot of this is it's easy to follow once you figure this out. So like the root chakra is down by the base below the tailbone, and it basically is a chakra that is associated with safety, security, survival, grounding, and things like that. And it connects organs of the body like the large intestines, the adrenal glands, the feet, the legs. So that's what's connected to the earth. So for grounding purposes. And it centers around like being accepted, being patient, being feeling like you're belonging. And if there is an imbalance, you can see things like bullying causing issues, um, people being self-centered. Um, it's like I know they put on here death wish. You kind of have to think like some of this is for people, like people who are just like risk junkies that go out and do the craziest things. There's definitely an
But
imbalance.
and I think some animals do kind of like push the envelope, like Jack Russell's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see some of those, some of the breeds. I can see that being that their personality. So the color of the root chakra is red. Um, the next chakra up is the sacral chakra, and it's orange, and it's right below the abdomen, navel area, and it's all about the bonding, connecting. It's about the reproductive organs. Um, and you think about reproduction, that's where you get the nurturing, the being creative, that's being self-sufficient. If there's an imbalance, you might see something that's grandiose or excess, like it's too much. You just have those pets where they're just like, it's just too much. I can't, too much stimulation, too much excitement, too much energy. Um, Greed, envy, those are imbalances with the sacral chakra as well. Moving up to the solar plexus chakra, which is yellow, that's the part of your body that holds your personal power and your self-will. And it's associated with all your digestion organs. Because you think about it, that's where your stomach is, your intestines, your liver, your spleen, all of that is in that same area. So it's all about regulation, it's about digestion, it's about being centered and calm. Um, that's why they say, when you want to just get centered and focused, you draw your attention to your solar plexus area, right? So that's where we get that. And if there's an imbalance here, there could be anger, there could be neediness, like you're always needing to reassure the pet or the person that everything's okay. They just feel totally out of balance. They're very fearful sometimes. They can have digestion issues. Let me see if I can get this to stop doing that. There we go. Okay. And then moving up to the heart chakra, it's green and obviously center of the chest. And that whole chakra is centered around having attachment, balance, unconditional love. It involves the organs like the heart, the thymus, which is right there next to the heart, the lungs, and then arms and hands, because it's all in that same grid area. So in the heart chakra, you want to see things like unconditional love and understanding, compassion. If you see imbalance, you'll see like resentment and fear, rejection, like getting a broken heart, things like that. So that's all associated with the heart chakra. And then the next one up is the throat, which is blue. And that's obviously anything in the throat area. So it covers your nose, your neck, your mouth, your thyroid, the shoulder area. It's all, the throat chakra is all about transmitting your truth, sharing truth, communication. It's an easy connection when you think about all the what happens around the mouth and throat area, right? So when everything's in balance, we have good communication, you're able to reason, you're able to communicate well, you have confidence. And if there's an imbalance, it's like you just can't communicate, you can't get the words out, someone is not reliable, or they can be very, like, just the extreme opposite, like they're very dogmatic and just like, I'm digging my heels in and I'm going to fight you on this because I'm not giving in. So very dogmatic kind of personality. Moving up to the third eye chakra, this is the color indigo, which is a beautiful purple, and it's located at the center of the head between the eyebrows. And that is all about focus and clarity. And your pituitary sits behind there, your pineal gland is there, the frontal brain, obviously the eyes, and it really centers around having clarity, your intuition, perception, things like that. And if you see an imbalance, it could be someone who is really rigid, very doubtful, negative, undisciplined. So those are some of the characteristics associated with that. Let's see if I can get this.
Tim, I have so many questions because you
Yeah.
would think the heart chakra would be red because we all associate heart with red. And so it seems so different.
Mhm.
And would an animal or a human crave wearing those things if they were deficient in those things?
Not not the not the heart chakra being wanting red. That would be a root chakra deficiency.
Okay.
I think we associate the heart because of red blood. The blood is red that flows through that. So that's probably
Exactly.
another, association with that. But from the Chinese medicine perspective, it's the green color. And they actually look at, I don't know what kind of photography or camera that they use. It's a special kind of camera that they can look at and they see these colors on the chakra system through these little energy centers. So these are the actual colors that they can pick up when they look for these things. I wish I could remember the name of the camera, but I don't know.
Spectrometer, I think.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
Yeah, I think, and Maureen's saying she had a Chihuahua that would only have yellow. She would only play with yellow toys and she would only use a yellow blanket.
That's interesting. And we're going to find out why when we get to the colors and what they mean. But I wanted to tie these together for you because it's going to make a whole lot of sense at the end, so that you can find ways to implement these. And then, okay, the last chakra is the crown chakra. So it's a violet color and it's like right above your head. And this is all about enlightenment and consciousness. So it affects your cerebral cortex of the brain, your pituitary gland, and your skin. Um, and things like emotions like bliss, trust, miracles, complete peace, um, you know, your divinity, all of that, it's going to be up here in your crown chakra. And if there's an imbalance, you're going to see just exhaustion, constantly tired, someone who has no sense of belonging or acceptance. They just don't find their purpose, perhaps. They're just, you know, they don't have that connection. So it's very interesting how that works. Now, let's connect the actual colors and what they're associated with. We talked a little bit about this earlier. So the color red, again, root chakra, and its frequency. I need to move my little box here just a second so I can actually find. I can see my screen. Let me see if I can move this.
And while you're doing that, Charlene asked if it was a aura camera, a camera that takes pictures of auras.
It probably, yes, probably so. I really don't remember the name of it at all. It's been a long time since I saw that. And I'm trying to find my little mousy thing, but nope. Okay, no. Okay, I'm just gonna have to pretend I know what that says because it's covered. I can't see my screen.
You can't move your screen around.
I
Oh,
can't move the little box over here. Okay, so anyway, red has a frequency that's stimulating and it empowers, you know, you feel strong, you feel courageous. It promotes that stability and security. So if you've ever worked in a job and you go in for a job interview and you put on a red dress or a red suit, that's like your power color, you know. So it's about courage and motivation. Um, it's also really good for stimulating appetite, which is really interesting. But it ties into that root chakra and all those characteristics that when that chakra is strong, it has that strength and stability and feeling safe, feeling secure. And then violet purple is all about, think about the spiritual side. It's uplifting your spiritual side. It's calming your mind, calming nerves. It's great for anxiety or calming anxiety. It's related to feelings of spirituality. You know, in the Bible, they always associate with color purple with royalty and all of that. So it's like, you know, it's a very special color and has that spiritual connection. Um, it can help with things like meditation. It can enhance your psychic abilities and your spiritual power. It's all about creativity and imagination. So purple is one of my favorite colors, and it's always been one of my favorite colors. I've been drawn to it um, since I was a kid. It's just really interesting how you'll feel yourself gravitate towards certain colors, and maybe some of these characteristics and qualities of colors will like make it make sense to you now as you learn what they mean. Yellow, again, solar plexus connection. And if you think about yellow, you think about sunshine, right? You think about happiness and cheerfulness and warmth. It's great for relieving depression and, you know, having more motivation, more energy. So it's also good for memory and helping communication, vision, having some confidence, stimulating the nervous system. Um, and what I think is interesting, and a lot of times we'll find this with pets, is a lack of yellow can cause them to be defensive or very possessive, very rigid, and sometimes even jealousy. I find like that imbalance and they're just like in a bad mood. So yellow, throwing in some yellow can help. And then green, again, heart chakra connection. And it goes back to that grounding. If you think of grass, how do we feel when we go outside and we're in nature? We feel so connected to earth. We feel grounded. We feel calm and relaxed and refreshed. So that can also remind you of the color green. And it's all about unconditional love and just having that understanding, that compassion. Pink. Pink is a great color to use after illness or surgery because it helps the body restore itself, promotes healing. And then it's also good for dealing with grief or sadness. And you know, we think of pink for babies, so it's very nurturing, it's very like tender. And I love that because I've always loved pink I guess what most girls like pink, right? I know there's some that don't, but maybe we were imprinted at a very young age with pink. Um, Orange is again kind of one of those warm colors. It's very cheerful, it's uplifting, optimistic. It can be very motivating. When I think of orange, I think of Florida sunshine, Florida orange groves, but it's a happy color. Promotes a sense of adventure, enthusiasm, things like that. And here's something you guys can think of. Think about some of the places that you shop and or dine in, and look at the colors that they have in their establishments. There's a specific reason they choose those colors. So just kind of tuck that into your to the back of your mind next time you go somewhere. Just be observant of what colors are surrounding you, because they have a reason that they use those colors for dining and shopping and things like that. Baby blue, obviously, it's very calming, especially for pets in a very stressful situation. It can be very cooling. Um, it helps calm anxiety. I like to if you think about the colors of some of the vet clinic rooms, that it's like a baby blue, or like emergency rooms, they'll have baby blue or light blue colors because it's very soothing, especially if you're in a very fearful, stressful situation. So that's something you can always remember to pull in. And then the regular color blue, again, throat chakra. So anything related to the throat, like maybe helping a pet want to, if they've had some kind of a block to eating, throw in a color blue under the mat, under their bowl or something. It is again about speech and communication, but it's also very tranquil and can be very restful. So it's great to use if there's stressful situations. If you need to cool something down, blue is a good color to pull in, very calming. And then indigo, again, third eye chakra. And indigo is actually a purifier of the bloodstream, and it has benefits for the mind and the pineal gland. So that's why they use it for a lot of spiritual stuff, consciousness, creativity, and things like that. But purple or that indigo color can benefit healing eyes and ears. So I just thought of those little eye masks some people wear to bed. So if you've got like a really bad, headache or eyes bothering me, maybe a purple one just kind of hit me. That might help.
That's kind of
So
fun.
yeah, yeah. And then brown, I think of very earthy colors. It's very grounding again. It's very secure, very safe, kind of it can be very neutral. Um, but if you have too much, think about it can kind of feel very boring and vast and empty. Think like desert, too much brown without any landscape. It's pretty dull. So, but it can promote a feeling of loneliness and isolation. So, again, think of the wilderness. If you can just have those pictures of nature and where you see these colors and the emotions it makes you feel, those are good ways to kind of clue in on how to use it.
So
Uh,
when you're out in the woods hiking, you shouldn't wear those colors because you'll feel lost.
or if you get lost, they won't find you.
They won't find you,
They won't
exactly. You'll
see
be
you.
lost.
You're
You'll
gonna
stay
blend in
lost.
too well. So yeah, wear something bright.
That's hilarious.
It's
I
true.
like that.
Yeah. And then white. White is another one of my favorite colors, but it's associated with divine light and healing, protection. Think of it, it's also white is a symbol of purity and freshness. I think of like the white sale every January, your white sheets, your white towels. It's very cooling, it's very cleansing. Um, it's just fresh light, things like that. It can be all about inner peace, in healing, raising your vibration, connected to God, oneness, that kind of energy. is associated with white. And then finally, black, black is all about authority and strength and power. But think of it like, why do we wear black to funerals? It's all about mourning, sadness, things like that, like too much. Um, so that's kind of how those colors associate. So it depends on what kind of mood you need to put yourself in. Maybe you feel like you need a little power boost that day and you feel like, black can give you a little bit more confidence sometimes. Any questions so far?
Well, I know like orange is one of my favorite colors, but I always thought it was because my name is Poppy. I just like
Yeah,
draw to the California poppy color.
yeah.
I just represent,
Yes, yes.
But
Yes.
it's interesting because I think we back in the 80s they used to have like doing your colors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Am I dating myself?
No.
Um and,
I remember that.
and lime green was always my color. Like I loved lime green and I probably still do. I just don't wear it that much.
Right, right. Well, you are very outdoorsy and you love being outside, and green is just one of those colors that connects nature, connects us to the earth. So maybe there's it has a little I like to call it like charisma, right? Green with charisma would be like your lime green. So that reminds me of you. You have a lot of charisma. Um, so how do we use color therapy? So we can use the color to balance a condition. It ties back to Ayurvedic medicine, applying a color to correct imbalance in the chakras. So you want to look at how the pet is acting, what kind of illness they might be going through. Look at the area of the body that's affected. What is out of balance? What is injured? What just had surgery? What organ are you supporting or addressing treatment for? So those are clues to figure out how to use the colors. So what I love to do is let the pet self-select. So pets are horses, dogs, cats, doesn't matter. These animals know what they need to bring their bodies back into balance, and whether that's herbs, food, what have you, but color is the same, and they will actually self-select. If you give them options, they are drawn to the frequency that supports them in balancing and healing. Again, it can be behavior, physical issues, emotional issues, what have you. So what I like to do is just don't go spend a lot of money on this. Go to your closet and look for different colors. It doesn't have to be a solid color, but like something that has the majority of a color, like a green or a yellow. It can be a towel, it can be a hat, a washcloth, um, a pillow. It can be, a t-shirt, sweatpants. It really doesn't matter. If you have a piece of paper that's a certain color, start collecting things, that you can just pull out whenever you need to. Or again, like I said, don't go spend a lot of money on it because chances are you have something in your house already. But take whatever object that you find, and you can even use food. I have heard stories, true story, where they needed the color yellow, and they were in a shelter or like a rescue center and nobody had anything yellow, and this lady goes, well, I have a banana. So they used a banana. And again, it's all about the frequency. So you don't have to get, too what's the word, too strict on what you use. It's really about the frequency. So what you do is you just put that object down in their vicinity. And cats are easy. Just put it on the floor in a square. They like squares for some reason. But you can put it on your couch, you can put it on the bed, somewhere that the pet would have access to, and when they need it, they will go sit on it. They may go sit on the whole thing, they may go sit next to it, they may sit on a portion of it. And then when they are done getting whatever they need, they get up and they leave and they go somewhere else. Um, I I used to recommend using collars, But with collars and harnesses, they can't take them off when they don't need them anymore. So that's why I kind of move. I don't really like using the collars or harnesses. But again, if you muscle test, you can just figure out how long they need it for. But if not, just I like just to set it down and let them go get what they need from it. So it's not about the size of the object, it's really about the frequency. And it's not that they have to see the color, it's about the frequency. So I like the fact that when we let them choose what they need, they will choose and they will use it and then they will leave when they're done. And in some cases, you can just leave those colors out, depending on situation and the pet and your house and how neat you like to be. But it's just cool just to offer them stuff. Like I have cat beds in the closet and I've got some blankets in certain places that they like to sit on. One of my cats is a water element, so she's gets anxious and nervous and afraid. She's like a spooky cat, right? So I actually have a purple blanket that has some tan in it and things like that. But I had it on the floor in the closet. And then she also has another blanket in there that's red and white. So she selects, like when she needs root chakra support, she goes and sits on the red and white one. And when she needs, more anxiety support, nervousness, she goes and sits on the purple one. It's
And
fascinating.
that's so fascinating because I have a guest bedroom where my cat has adopted. It's her bedroom pretty much.
Mhm.
And I changed the blanket and it's like a red plaid and she refuses to lay on it. Refuses. Where it was like just this neutral tan blanket before and she stayed on it all day long.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
the red's too much. The red's too much. She's like, I can't sit that. It's too much energy, you know?
I'm gonna change it tonight and see if she goes
What's
back in the
happening?
room because she's pretty much abandoned her bedroom.
Oh, bless her heart.
Yeah, I'm so fascinated by this. And Mandy's asking for horses.
Mhm.
Could you print out like sheets of colored paper or
Yeah.
something like that and put it on the wall for your horse?
Yes, absolutely. You could put it on the wall, on the stall. You could put it on the floor if you needed to. Again, it doesn't have to be a super big thing, but be creative. You can even like I know in some cases, maybe even putting a blanket over them for a little bit and then go take it off.
Well, and I have that horse blanket story. So Mandy, I don't know if you've heard this horse blanket story, but I was doing a in-person session at a woman's barn and her horse was a weaver, which is a stall vise, you guys, where they just weave back and forth. And through the muscle testing, I got she needed a yellow blanket.
Hmm.
And so I just thought, well, she must like the color yellow or something like that. I mean, I was just like, how ridiculous is that? It's hard to find a winter blanket that's yellow. It shows a lot of mud. So this woman is so awesome. She finds finally, she goes, it took me a long time, but I found it. And she puts it on this horse. The horse instantly quits weaving and the stall vise goes away permanently. Now, if you told me that would happen, I'd be like, there's no way. Like, my rational brain would be like, that is ridiculous. But yeah,
Yeah.
so
So there was something about the solar plexus area that needed support. And that's your personal power and your self-will. And that's your digestive organs. And I can't remember all the details, but um, when you start to look at the situation and what the color represents and the chakra that it's associated with, you can kind of piece together, make, the puzzle pieces start to make sense. And you get a bigger picture and understanding of maybe where there was a deficiency on some level. So it is fascinating. So okay, now we're going to go through some examples, and this is going to kind of be a way for you to think about how you would use certain colors in certain situations. Um, knowing what we've kind of gone through, and I'm sorry you don't have a like the actual handout in front of you, so I'll help you help a little bit. But okay, so think about a urinary tract issue. What chakra is that associated with? And urinary tract issue, what do you guys think? What color would that
So
support?
body colors, like I believe I was taught like all your body functions have a different color, and that's what color they draw to when they're deficient in that body function. So I'd say yellow,
Close, orange.
orange.
It's right below that chakra. So the sacral chakra is orange, and the sacral chakra is your bladder and your kidneys.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
could drink I could drink more water. I'm just saying.
we all could. Um, so, okay, here's one. Fearful of car rides and vet visits. So the key here is feeling insecure and fear. And obviously car rides for some pets are really stressful. So there's not just like one color necessarily, but you could play with a couple different colors on things like this. Does anybody have any ideas?
Blue, calming.
Blue. Blue? Yes. Blue would definitely be one that I would pick. Um, Light blue, regular blue. You guys could even look at red because it's all about safety and security and the root chakra. So red might be an option as well. Um, if you
So
have
so
a
you
dog,
would do like a baby blue blanket in the back of the car, or
yeah, you could
okay.
just put a towel that color down, or take a couple different colors and see which one they go pick. You know. So green can be grounding. So if they're feeling a little uncertain, uneasy, in the car and they don't like the motion, maybe green would be an option. But yeah, green, blue, baby blue, maybe red. Like for some animals, like the dogs, if they have a red collar and you want them to be courageous and feel, you know, strong in certain situations, like going to the vet, maybe put the red collar on while you're going there. And then when you get home, take it off because they don't have to have that courage anymore, right?
That's so interesting. My dog, I don't keep a collar on him because he emotionally shuts down.
Mm.
Um, so I only put a collar on him when I need it, but it's always black. He came with a black collar, and I bought him another black collar, and I'm wondering if that's why he emotionally shuts down.
It might be.
I have to try a different color now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so if they were having a post-surgical procedure, there could be a couple different things here, but what colors would you guys think of trying?
Janice, you want to hop in there, or Charlene, since you guys are live with us? And I'll let you guys answer on Facebook.
Yeah,
Charlene, light blue. Charlene says light blue.
for a
I would say red.
post surgery, we're on
Mhm.
post surgery.
Yellow.
Pink,
Oh, pink.
pink.
Stacy got it right on Facebook. Good job, Stacy.
But
Because
here's the thing. Go back and see again, it's what area of the body had surgery. Was it a foot? Was it stomach? So you could tie in the particular chakra color as well as the pink. Does that make sense? Or what area of the body is affected with the
so,
surgery?
so if it had something to do with like stone removal of urine crystals or something like that,
Yeah,
you go more orange.
orange.
Okay,
You could go orange and pink because they
cool.
can complement each other.
Which
Yeah.
is coral.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And then if they had a hospital stay, nobody likes to be in the hospital, but it's necessary sometimes. So what colors would you send and put in their kennel?
I'm waiting. Survey says.
Anyone?
Come on, Stacy, you're doing good. It's because Stacy said she still had her wallet chart from her colors being done that many years ago. She
Uh,
just found it in
That's
her wallet. I know. So Stacy says baby blue.
I would definitely choose. That is definitely one I would use for sure. Um, yeah, again, you just evaluate your pet and their personality and how they act when they're in somewhere like that. Some animals are not as emotionally shut down or fearful as others, so you have to really look at each pet individually. But I love baby blue for that. Now, if they had a vomiting or diarrhea or digestive issue, what color would be your first go-to?
So that would be yellow.
Yes. Yes. If it was diarrhea, that's the large intestine and that's the root chakra. So you could support red and yellow.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thinking about bringing a new pet into the home, depending on the pet and their demeanor and their emotional state and how nervous they are or not, what colors, think of some colors that you would try offering in that type of situation.
I would consider green for grounding.
Mm-hmm. That's a great idea. That's typically one of my first.
And
Mm-hmm.
what about our common brown?
Yeah. Yeah. Or combination. You know how many pet beds are brown?
Green and brown, yeah. Or brown.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, the very neutral colors. I was thinking if someone wanted to like tie in color therapy and with pet beds, they could do different colors to match the chakra, you know? And because there's not much there's not much variety out there in terms of colors a lot of times. So it's just a thought. If there's any entrepreneurs out there wanting a business opportunity. Um, okay, so what about traveling? Think about how your pet handles traveling, whether that's on airplane, in the car, trailer, what have you. Um, Depending on the behavior and their emotional state, think of some colors that would help that.
Well, and that would be similar to the fearful car rides or vet visits,
Mhm.
possibly, unless your animal, like my dog, loves the car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Again, it depends on the pet, right?
Yeah, my dog loves the car, but he doesn't love long trips. Like
Mm.
he'll sleep in the car. Like I can leave him in the car even when I'm parked at home. He wants to sit in the car. It's his safety spot. I know it's super ridiculous. So yeah, he's like, nah, I'm not gonna be in the house. I'll be in the car today.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
You must like something about the car.
It it's the bucket seats. They're perfect for him. It's just like holds his little body perfect.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
New business opportunity, anyone? Special dog bed. Um, okay, so think about a traumatic emotional or spiritual experience.
Purple.
Definitely.
All colors of purple. So your indigo or your
Violet.
lighter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, you could even do green for the emotional heart. You could do pink as well. It's trauma, you know. Doesn't always have to be physical trauma, it can be emotional trauma. So those are great. Those are great ideas. And then if you had a pet who was insecure, timid, or shy, and you wanted them to feel the opposite of those emotions, think of some colors that you would choose.
Red.
Definitely red. Maybe even black, right? confidence. But yeah, red for sure. And then if you had an aggressive animal, what colors could you try?
Well, I guess we'd be back in the blue zone.
Yes, you could definitely do blue, light blue. Um, I even think white because it's cooling. It's it's peaceful, you know? So you could even try some white. And again, remember an aggressive animal is just afraid. They're just fearful. So we have to ways to mitigate. Um, okay, so if you had a pet who was experiencing grief or loss, maybe they lost a family member or they lost a fellow pet.
Zen color for adults. Prevent memory loss. Get
Who is that? Charlene, was that you?
Not this time.
Not this time.
That's funny. So yeah, any thoughts on grief or loss or sadness?
Pink for loss, Stacy says.
I like that.
I don't know. I'm back in the purple, I think.
Yeah, and you could also do green, shades of green,
Right.
or
Yeah.
the grief and all of that, because we hold grief in our heart. So I would definitely look at pink and I would look at green for sure. Okay, and then if you had rescued a dog off the street that was just, who knows how long it'd been out there just trying to survive and defend itself, think of some colors that you could use to support that situation.
Like, I would think red again for confidence.
Yeah. And maybe even green for grounding, just to have some security, right? If they've been just floundering around and just trying to survive for all that time.
I'm always so baffled by why people choose red and green for Christmas because those two colors do not work together.
Right.
Maybe this answers that question.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Poppy, if you're clearing trauma with energy work, so again, trauma would be the key. What color would you pull in, or colors?
I would pull in white.
I like that. Yeah, maybe some purple.
Yeah.
Trauma, I guess it would depend on how they're really responding, if they're in shock, or if they are just high strung, anxious. You could look at those extremes and see what color would be the best match. What about a pet who has been bullied?
Green.
Yeah. What else? Think of the chakra that
Black, I guess. Maybe black to make them feel a little more confident.
and definitely the red, because the red chakra, if there's imbalance, there's bullying. So give them some red to build courage and help them feel more safe and secure. So those are all three that I would use. And then a pet who is just having trouble finding its voice.
Blue.
Yes, absolutely. It's all about that throat chakra. What about a pet? If you want to support a pet who loves being in nature, how can you pull that inside?
Green and brown.
Yeah, your
Or
typical
camo. We're gonna
yeah,
get that dog camo.
right, right. And then a pet who looks depressed or is acting depressed. What are some of the colors that you could look at?
Red, pink, blue. Well, I don't know about blue. what about, so Charlene says, what is that, Charlene? The one who really found their voice. Oh, good. That's funny. So the ones that bark too much, she's
Mm.
asking.
Mm-hmm. So if you think of depression, solar plexus, think yellow. Yellow brightens
Everything.
depression, but yeah, and even orange in some cases, it's warm, it's cheerful. Yellow is happy, it's energy. So pulling in those cheerful, bright colors like that would be really helpful. And then if you're trying to help cool down a pet who's in a hot, stressful environment, what are a couple colors that come to mind?
Blue again.
Yeah.
And it's cooling. So what else? Hot, stressful environment.
Think what clothes you wear outside when it's boiling hot. What color? What color reflects heat?
I always wear like orange.
White. Think white.
White. Yes.
Cool. Right?
Yeah.
White.
Like or like 20 shades of orange.
You're right. Okay, so if a pet is undergoing physical therapy, think about again, you could think about the part of the body that correlates to if it's a leg, if it's a foot, um, their body is healing. So, or some other mobility issue. Think about where it's located and what part of the body that correlates to on the chakras, and then you'll get your colors. Any ideas? Just in general, physical therapy, it's all about healing, right? So maybe
Green.
pink too. Pink
Okay.
is healing. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Um, what?
It reminds me of the tissue itself, pink.
Mhm.
So when you have surgeries or open wounds, you want that pink.
Yes, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
Okay.
Okay, and if you have a pet who just cannot make up their mind and decision about something, maybe they want their food 1 minute, the next minute they're like walking away, then they come back and they walk, So if they're being real indecisive and they want to go out, they want to come in, they want to go out, they want to come in. We all had those pets. So there's obviously an imbalance somewhere. So think of some colors that you could throw in to try.
Well, I'm being indecisive on this. I think, I don't know. I want to say purple, but I just want to say purple.
Purple would be a definitely something to try if it's based in some anxiety. Um, if it's food and eating related, you could look at blue. If maybe it's just they're not grounded, you could look at green. Um,
Would
just
you throw the brown in there too, just for a,
you could you
okay.
could and see, absolutely. Like I said, there's really no right or wrong because the animal will determine what it needs, but you're just giving it some options. Um, so if you were trying to build a relationship, like build trust with a new pet, how could you promote that with color?
Green and blue.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
They're very complimentary.
Yeah, or even purple, because if they're nervous, if they're unsure of their environment still, or they're not quite sure about you, maybe a little anxious, you could look at their behavior and see if purple would help too. Um, okay, I know a lot of you guys in here have to deal with fireworks and thunderstorms and all of that. So, what color for fear and insecurity could you pull in?
Hey, you guys, I'm waiting for the Facebook community to answer,
Yeah.
giving you a chance. I feel like I'm dominating this conversation. Okay, what do you think? Any guesses out there in Facebook land? Red and green, Stacy said.
Mm-hmm. Those are awesome. Yep. Absolutely. And then if you're calming a nervous pet, what color? We've kind of talked about it a few times, but
Yeah. So that's the blue, maybe the pink,
purple.
purple.
Purple is about anxiety and nervousness. So purple would be my first.
It's all on that side of the rainbow.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And if you were trapping a feral cat who is obviously doesn't like humans and afraid and probably a little aggressive, um, what color would you choose? And there's probably multiple on this one.
Yeah, maybe green, blue, but also um probably purple.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh,
I will tell you, if you have an aggressive animal, don't give them red because it just, you think of, I want you to remember the bullfighting. They're waving the red, you know, whatever you call that. Um, it's to drive the aggression of the bull to get them to attack. So don't use red on an aggressive animal. Don't put a red collar on an aggressive dog. It
okay.
just makes it exaggerates their condition. Um, and then a pet with a heart or lung is illness. Think about the part of the body that correlates to and the chakra, and that will tell you what color to use.
That would be green and yellow.
Green.
Green.
Green. Yeah, heart chakra is lungs, heart area. Okay, almost there. A pet whose cortisol and adrenals are running high.
That would be orange.
Yes. Yes, adrenals are associated with the sacral chakra, and that's your orange color. And then what about an abuse victim?
Use victim. White.
You could, I think, anybody else before I suggest something? Anybody? Anybody?
Stacy basically, she just made a comment saying she painted the area around her desk lavender and it helps her keep calm.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
sweet.
hmm So, like an abuse victim, they've gone through a lot of trauma, probably have trust issues. So, anything you can use to help them grounding and to feel safe and secure, um, to feel less anxious, to heal their heart, their emotional heart, you can use pink. Um, Green just for grounding and security. And just check their overall demeanor. If they are kind of depressed and withdrawn, pull out the bright happy colors like yellow and orange. So there's so many options, and you just have to look at each pet and each situation for that particular circumstance, and then pull in as many colors as you think might be an option, and then give the pet something to choose from. It's interesting. I have a friend of mine who does a lot of color therapy with her cats, and she's got a color for every chakra, as well as like a black, and she's got some other colors on here as well. But she has these big, like square pieces of cloth, and she just kind of puts them in different areas of the house, and she'll walk around and she'll find her cat on this particular color one day, and then the next day it'll be on a different color, and it just chooses those colors to go to depending on what kind of support it needs for that day. It's just fascinating, and it's always changing. Um, so yeah, does this help? Does this give you guys some ideas?
Yeah, this is fun. I'm definitely gonna go make the bed differently and see if my cat's gonna start hanging out in that room again.
Yeah, that's so cool. I
And
want to know.
you also have your own online store. You sell no-sodes.
I sell some of the Boiron remedies.
Don't you have like a rabies no-sode on your site?
I have listened. I do
Yeah, I was
listen.
excited to see that because it's been a little tough to find. I was like, oh, Pam has it.
Yeah, and you know what I did? I ordered them from the UK in like multiple tubes at a time. But you know, when you're dealing with getting or the need to have a listen dose or whatever, you don't need a whole tube. You just need like 3 pellets to last you for a couple days. So I just sell custom doses and I dose them out into baggies and send them out because you don't need a whole tube. Why are you spending the money on that? You know? So I just made it easy for people. Just get what you need. Don't buy the whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
Have
And
some
Maureen
use.
was asking, do you have one for EPM? There is an EPM no-sode if that is what you're asking. But I believe it's only derived from one version of EPM. It's not very effective. And that is from Dr. Wessner. When he died, it went to Earth Song Ranch, his no-sode collection.
Hmm.
But I love the fact that I can just point them to your website and say, go get listen over here.
Yeah. And I have
Yeah.
the 30C and I have the 200C. And I find that the 200C is more, it matches energetically to pets who have had multiple vaccines over their lifetime, or if
Or
they have an underlying condition that, you know, that's been a vaccinosis issues that maybe they don't even realize is vaccinosis issues. But so I carry both potencies. And I send them instructions on how to make the remedy and all that too when they get that, so that they're not like, okay, now what do I do? You know? So yeah, it's cool.
no, I have pointed a few people
Thank
into your
you.
website because I'm like, I know where to get this. You go to Pam.
Yeah,
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 you have a fun little online store.
yeah. Thank you. It's
And then
fun.
you also have courses and classes for sale that are access on your
Yeah,
site.
workshops, and we have our iridology workshop on there too.
Woo
Yeah,
woo.
but yeah,
I keep tweaking it. I keep tweaking it. Dr. Judy Morgan mentioned that she would be interested in putting it on her Judy U. And so I know you have some stuff on Judy U too, but
mhm.
not two. I don't have it yet.
She's the one that said make a color therapy workshop. So
Oh, it was her
one
idea.
she's the one that's because I've known about it for years and I've used it and I've talked about it over and over and over. She's like, can you make a workshop? And I'm like, yes, give me some time.
So Stacy said she hadn't thought about color therapy for her animals, although with some of her own work, she gets help from it, and she also does hypnotherapy
Oh, I
with,
love that.
and the session uses a lot of colors. Maureen wants your website.
It's
It's
perfectlyholistic.com. Says PURRR, perfectlyholistic.com. That's the blog. And the shop is shop.perfectlyholistic.com.
shop dot.
Mm-hmm. And we have a bunch of wellness and supplements and remedies. And if you have cats, we have tons of cat stuff too.
You are our cat expert. We
Yes,
are grateful to have you. You're like the solo representation of the cats.
they don't get enough love, you know?
They don't. It's very sad.
Mhm.
You're doing a good job. You guys, if you ever have cat questions, Pam's your jam.
Love to help my cat people. It's really kind, really full. It, cats are just so mysterious sometimes, and they're so amazing. And thank you again for your help with Aylin last week.
Oh, it's my pleasure. The iridology didn't fail us the other day on the cats.
Tell them about what you found.
So her cat, no, you tell it because you know the whole case, and
Okay, well,
sent me eyes, and I was like, okay, what is going
yeah,
on
I
here?
said she was just not feeling good, and you could just tell. And she stopped eating for a couple days, and I'm syringing goat's milk down her multiple times a day to get her something in her tummy. And so I ended up taking her to the vet. We got blood work. We did she got an antibiotic 'cause she was running a fever. So, she was definitely not feeling good. And they sent the blood work off to the lab because it had bilirubin in her urine, and her platelets were low, and her white blood cells were low. And I'm like, I have no idea why this is happening. So I sent Poppy a picture of her eyes, and I said, what do you see? What do you see going on? And she sent back, and she said stomach toxicity, acidity, pancreas or gallbladder, and GI inflammation, uh,
Yeah.
all of
Maybe
that.
a little parasite.
Yeah, and I couldn't find the parasite energy per se, but we pulled out the hydrated bentonite clay and the calendula, and within 12 hours, she was eating fussy cat treats again. And she told my animal communicator, she goes, I think something she's giving me is helping. Can I have more, please?
Yay.
Yeah. And so her vet called on Saturday to check on her, and she still wasn't, she's just eating the puree treats. And she said, well, her blood work came back and her platelets are fine, but they determined that it's some kind of toxin. And I had done a little bit more deep energy dive on what could be like the root cause, and I got organophosphates, which is a type of herbicide. And specifically, the one that came up was something called methos. And it's used in cotton farming to take the leaves off the cotton plants. And so I got online and I'm like looking for cotton farms near me. And lo and behold, not too far to the east of me, there is a cotton farm.
That's amazing.
We had crazy winds. I don't know if where you guys are located, but we had some crazy wind like 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. Weird stuff. And God knows what was blowing in all over the place because there was no rhyme or reason to the wind. And something blew in, obviously, into my backyard, which is chemical free. And she was outside with me Saturday, just doing her normal thing, sitting in the flower bed watching for the bunnies through the bunny holes, and watched me do some work in the flower beds and stuff. And then we went inside, and the next day is when she got sick.
Wow. That's amazing.
So
I totally believe that. And who knows if the trucks were running by you too.
you just don't know. You don't know what's in the air,
Yeah.
what they're
No.
spraying and
That's
all of that
that
stuff.
is that is so similar to my life story about how I even stumbled into muscle testing because I was getting strep throat 6 times in 3 months. And the doctor said, you're antibiotic resistant. We have nothing for you. Go home. Good luck.
Oh my
And I
God.
was just like that, like no hospital, no referral to anybody. Like, good luck. You're antibiotic resistant and there's nothing we can do. So somebody gave me this guy's name and number, and um yeah, I called him and he's like, can you come over? I'm like, I'm really sick. He goes, just drive the back streets. And so I went the back streets. I fainted on his doorstep.
Oh my gosh.
I wake up and there's this little man dragging me by my armpits into his house. I'm like, all I could think of is Hannibal Lecter. And I was like, oh my gosh, what have I got myself into? And he was waving smelling salts in front of my face, and they actually worked. But
Oh my
he did this whole muscle testing session, and he dialed it down to a specific herbicide or pesticide that was being sprayed on the oranges. And I was a horse trainer in Moore Park, surrounded by orange orchards. So every time it blew, I got strep throat.
Wow.
And he fixed it, and I've never had it again. Yeah.
Fascinating.
And so I was like, I'm all in.
Yeah.
He was the only one that could help me, and he saved my life a couple times. And so he mentored me.
Yeah. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. I was just thinking about anybody that would have been driving down the street at the time they saw him dragging you into his.
I know.
I
Like,
was like,
what is
what are your
happening?
neighbors gonna think? Poor woman is collapsed on him. He's pulling her in.
I know, like this is like a movie. What's happening right now? I don't even know this guy.
Oh my God, that's funny. I'm
Yeah,
sure he was a little distraught as well. That's definitely kind of like, oh my God, let's.
I'm gonna get murdered and nobody's gonna know it.
Jeez,
The only cure for strep throat.
that is crazy.
You guys, thank you for hanging out with us today. I'm glad you had a good time, and yes, it was enlightening. I was totally enlightened by this. I'm gonna go change my bedspread for the cat, and
Yeah,
and
this,
I'm thinking about my dog, and I guess I have to get him a colored collar or at least a soft ribbon or something, and start trying different
mhm.
things around him.
Yeah, it's fascinating and it's fun to experiment with. Um, and they'll surprise you every time. It's just, it's fascinating. Like I had a client whose cat had surgery. I think he had like extractions or something. Dental, it was some kind of dental surgery. And she's like, "What can I do when I bring him home?" And I said, "Put something pink for him to sit on." And she's like, "I dug through my closet and the only thing I could find was this old pink sweater from like 30 years ago that I never wear." And so then she put it on her bed and the cat literally walked over to it, sat down, took a nap, and she took a picture. She goes, "I am floored." She just, I'm like, uh-huh. They just know. They just know. It's so cool. So
That
cool.
is cool. Janice, any comments?
I'm not really. I use a lot of lot of color remedies in homeopathy.
Yeah.
They're a little
Talk
bit
to me
different.
about that. Explain that.
Well, they're again related to the chakras.
Mhm.
You know, when you realize I look at I use my pendulum a lot with the chakras to determine how active they are or how imbalanced they are, and use the remedy according to that, along with the information that you get from an intake, and they help to rebalance everything, like homeopathy does. You know,
Yeah.
if the chakra is too energized, it will calm it down. If it's not energized enough, it will stimulate it. I use so for the heart, I have pink and green. So one is about giving love, and one is about accepting love.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's
But
an
are,
important
are
distinction.
these like homeopathic remedies of the color?
Mhm.
It's all frequency.
It's
Oh,
all it was
I've
done
never
by
seen
shining
this.
light. It was done by shining light through prisms onto
Mhm.
the solution.
Yeah. So it's an energetic imprint.
So
Mhm.
I have seen liquid color therapy where it's like in a little metal spray bottle and it says blue on it and it's clear. And I had a client who was way into these bottles of color. And so I had an assistant at the time, and she sprays it on my assistant she sprays the color blue on her that has blue eyes. My assistant had blue eyes. Her blue eyes go gray instantly. And we're like, what just happened? Your eyes just changed colors. And then she turns around and this dog like bites her because he sees her eyes and notices how bizarre her eyes are. And it
Wow.
was total mayhem. At that moment, I was just like, this is crazy. What is happening? So, Pam, can you explain that? Is there any explanation, or Janice? Like, that was so weird.
I've never used that before, but I'm thinking it created imbalance, perhaps.
Yeah.
Mm,
Why?
yeah,
Obviously, it created some kind of imbalance.
yeah.
And that's why the frequency changed, and the dog's like, "You're not the same person."
Like you
I
could
don't know
see
why.
it shudder through the dog. Like he like looked at her and was like, "Ah."
Wow.
And she was a very grounded, like easygoing person. And then she got rattled. I mean, we all got kind of rattled from the whole thing. We're just like, what is going on? She freaked out before the dog even bit her. Yeah.
And he could have been reacting to her her energy, like
The fact that she got weird.
she got
But it
so
was
freaked
when
out.
they went kind of eye to eye and her eyes had gone gray. And he was just like, I've never
That's not my
like
owner anymore.
it
Yeah,
was, well, I don't know. It must have been she was my assistant and she's still a friend even after that. And so thank God she's a great girl. And Maureen's saying that they use colored glasses for therapy in AO scan.
Mhm.
And yeah. So you put them on and treat yourself that way.
They also have a remedy made of the full spectrum, which is either called spectrum or rainbow that
nice.
you can use.
How does
It's
that work? Like if you take that,
so that's a very that's a really, really deep remedy. It can be used for um the deep scars of war.
Mm,
It can also be used for, I know somebody who used to put it in a spray bottle and spray it around their house in the winter when they got SAD, and it would help lighten the environment a little bit.
mhm.
There's a lot of it's more of a an esoteric use, I think.
I've never heard of this. This is so cool. Thank you for sharing, ladies.
And Charlene says it has her thinking about how we all have a favorite color and it can be connected to something from early on, like from in utero, infancy, early childhood. Also thinking about my favorite color changes often. So we'll be paying attention to see if it's connected to this. I think yeah, I think you're onto something. I have always loved purple, like I was saying earlier. And when I realized that purple is connected to your intuition and spirituality and all this, I'm like, well, of course I'm it's intuitive. So of course I'm loving purple, and I'm just drawn to that color. It's crazy, but now it
And
makes sense.
yeah, and I do love the color purple. It just looks horrible on me. And so I will buy purple clothes and never wear them because I'll be like, oh, it looks so bad in this.
Yeah.
But
So you
I'll
may
buy
you
it
may
because
may just need something else to balance out the purple.
like
Like
makeup,
purple with yellow in it.
like really yellow makeup.
Ew.
Or just maybe it's about decorating in your home, it's about pulling in those colors, more decor and splashes here and there, just to kind of add some pop of color that that is appealing. It's just fun to play with.
It is. It's very fascinating. Thank you. You guys, Pam came here and a pretty much spur of the moment.
You begged.
We owe her. I owe her.
Oh, I owe you for Thursday, so I'm like, sure, I'll do this for you.
Thank you. Well, we were definitely blessed today.
It was fun.
People are sending hearts.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you guys. And
Menopause or something else. The menopause
these
journey
updates.
pages.
Janice.
I know, I can't get it to stop. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Nicole says she loves wearing purple, and Diane says
Blue
thank you
menopause
for
stage
interesting.
that tracks your activity.
I'm muting you, Janice. You're rogue. You're totally rogue. You're cyber hacking us. You
Yeah.
guys, um,
Enjoy playing with your colors and just explore, try to.
yeah, and Stacy, since you still have that color, the color shopping, winter, spring, summer, fall from the 80s, still
That's
in
so
her
funny that she
wallet.
still has that. That's hysterical.
I can see it in my mind as clear as possible. I think we all did that, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I had
Yeah,
a
they
lime
were
green.
winter, spring, fall, summer. They categorize the colors accordingly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I had a lime green suit and people would love that on me and they'd be like, "Oh, you got your colors done, didn't you?" I'm like, "Yes."
Oh, that's funny.
You could
Not so cool.
tell.
That is so cool.
And Diane says she has hers too. I think as we get older, we need our colors redone. Whatever happened to that? That was a great service. We
It was a
obviously
trend
all
that
did
kind
it.
of fizzled. It all fizzled out. Too bad.
well, obviously we all used it and it seemed to work, so we might need to bring that back. Maybe with a holistic flair to it. So maybe it's not about the pads, maybe it's just creating the color scheme for
Mhm.
therapy. So yeah,
Awesome.
there's your next, whoever wants to grab that for an entrepreneurial.
Entrepreneurial opportunity.
Yeah.
Along with pet beds, make color
Yeah.
pet beds.
Pet beds is smart. And I wonder if, like you said, you had a plaid. So being busy, I wonder if that overlapping all those colors
Mhm.
are limiting, restricting, offending, or enhancing. Yeah. So now I have to play with all that.
You have to
Have
send me a
fun.
picture. What happens? Yeah.
And Maureen says, Janice, can I talk to you about your color remedies? And yes, and thank you, Janice, for your explanation. Thank you, Stacy. Right on, you guys. It's always blessed. Next week is early. We're meeting, I think, an hour early, but let me confirm that because it's Dr. Ruth Roberts. And
Oh,
so
okay.
we couldn't do 5:30. So it may be as early as 1:30. I have to go back in my notes and see, but I'll let you guys know it probably tomorrow. So everybody mark your calendars. We won't be here at 5:30 on Monday. We'll be early. All right, Pam, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Have
Y'all
a great evening. I'm gonna wrap myself in a pink blanket tonight.
sounds good. Okay.
Bye.
See you next time.